So the Wall Street Journal used their free will and decided that therapists were the reason that family estrangement is on the rise, that family estrangement even exists. So let's talk about it. I am Jazzmyn, host of the Visibility Standard. No need for an intro because it's a solo episode today. It always baffles me. I'm going to start here. Two things can coexist at the same time. One of them being, do I think that there is more room for people to learn conflict resolution skills, to build the skills, to strengthen their relationships, to communicate, rupture, to repair? Yes, 100%. We are in a culture where it is so easy to write someone off with the mindset that you don't owe anybody an explanation. I do think that is absolute bullshit. I think to be in community, to be in relationship with people, you need to give them something, right? It is a reciprocity that is what makes our relationships the most fulfilling and nurturing and valuable. Do I think there is room for people to sit with discomfort and to sit with frustration and anger towards their loved ones, towards their friends, and say, you know what, I want to figure this out because I do love this person. I want this person in my life, and I believe there is space to repair this relationship. And there are some fuckers that you really just need to cut off. Like, there are people in your life that are not worth having, and that can be family. I think part of what's happening is people are getting more accustomed to the idea of chosen family. You choose the people you are in relationship with. You choose the people that you consider family, that you would absolutely show up for at any given moment. You would drop everything. You are the chosen auntie, uncle. We are getting accustomed to the idea that family is not always blood. I think we're also getting accustomed to the idea that at the end of the day, family are people you were simply born in proximity to. Your cousins, aunts, uncles, all of these people are built-in people that you would be in relationship with. That does not mean you like one another. That does not mean you vibe well. That does not mean that they are people that you can be in relationship with. And what I feel like is missing a lot of the time, especially when we think about family estrangement specifically, is that because these people are built in lessons in nurturing relationships, if it is not a healthy dynamic, if it is not a dynamic that you can truly flourish in, your earliest experiences of being in relationship with other people are teaching you maladaptive habits. They are teaching you habits that won't necessarily thrive in your relationships with other people because you are in either a space of survival, you are in a space that you recognize is not working for you, and you are trying to force it, right? I cut my dad off at 16. I was not in therapy. There was no therapist to tell me to make this choice. I made this choice because I realized that if I wanted any chance at having a good concept of myself, like liking myself, of thinking that I am a person worthy of being loved, of being cared about, of being someone that could actually love themselves, I could not be in relationship to my dad. My dad was a hypercritical person who had expectations of a child that did not make sense. I remember he told me once that I would need to make a lot of money to sustain my lifestyle because the only person that I cared about was myself. And I was so self-centered that he could not imagine anybody being able to take care of me other than myself. I was 14, by the way, to give some context. I was a big disappointment when I chose to play volleyball over basketball because I had the potential to go D2. And so to punish me, he never really came to my volleyball games. He was responsible for me at a tournament and dropped me off. He went to church for the day and did his thing. Crazy, right? And then he came back. So he's at the end of the tournament at this point. And then he yells at me in the car because I wasn't playing well. Mind you, I was team captain and I played probably some of the most time out of anyone on my team. Catching me at the tail end. I'm tired. Your girl has played her game and is ready to sit down. And proceeds to yell at me in the car saying I'm not that good and I really wasted my potential playing basketball. So these are just the highlights, right, of what I'm sitting with at 14, 15, 16. I didn't have any concept of mental health at the time. Like therapy wasn't something that my family talked about. However, I knew, given the state of my mind and my wellness and my mental being, because of the proximity I was in with my dad, that having him in my life was going to be a net negative. It was going to be harmful. It was not going to give me the opportunity to heal in any capacity or to understand what good relationships feel like. And so I made the choice to go no contact with him. Obviously, that is easy with divorced parents. And yes, I did ask my mom to, as far as not go to his house. Like I begged, I remember begging at one point for the custody agreement to change so that I didn't have to spend weekends with him. That's a conversation for another time. But estrangement is not a light topic. And when I see media, when I see experts, when I see people making these assumptions that estrangement is like this easy choice that people wake up and make one day and it's very casual, I just want them to shut the fuck up, honestly. Because clearly they have not been in a position where they recognize that cutting someone out of your lives, cutting a family member out of your life specifically, makes much more sense than keeping them. And yes, are there places where people have repaired with their family? Sure. It's also not the same. I think a lot of people also sit with guilt and shame, and they sit with this idea that they are a bad person if they choose to cut their family off, because we still live in a society that values family. We don't have trad wife culture for nothing. Like traditional nuclear family is still important. Having those family gatherings, having the big Christmases and the Thanksgivings and spending time with family and being this close-knit, loving group of people is still the norm. So when people talk about estrangement as if it's this normalized, regular, common occurrence, there's still so much media backing being in a relationship with your family that I think it is still very taboo to choose to estrange from your family. I think it's still incredibly brave and hard to say, you know what, this is not a healthy dynamic for me. I'm going to walk away. The worst part about estrangement with my dad, I think, was when family members would ask me why I was not talking to my father and that I should reach out to him and that I should forgive him. Again, I'm the child, by the way. He hasn't reached out to me. He hasn't made that effort, right? But I should be the one to forgive him, to reach out, to maintain that relationship, simply because he is my father. He may have done the harm, but he is still my dad, and I need to I need to be the one to make that amends, not him figuring it out, not him like coming to visit me, not him texting like me, reaching out. My dad lived 20 minutes from me, also, by the way. And so it was always my responsibility. So when I think about the Wall Street Journal, I'm like, it's always the person who makes the choice. It's their responsibility to repair what's broken. Like there's never this the other person who did the harm, who did the doing, making the choice to make the amends, to take accountability for their actions, why that person made the choice in the first place. It's always my responsibility. And literally to this day, I saw someone, gosh, maybe a couple months ago, and they were like, "Yeah, how's your dad doing?" I said, "Fine, like he's doing well." But at this point, I lie because it's so exhausting to be constantly having the same explanation. Like, no, I haven't spoken to my father. No, I don't have a relationship with my father. No, I haven't reached out to him and I won't be. You can reach out to him if you're so concerned about him, see how he's doing. It just baffles me, honestly. In an ideal world, I never would have made that choice at 16. In an ideal world, I never would have felt like that was an option. I used to sit with so much jealousy when I would see people with their mom and dad together getting along. I would cry at TV shows because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish I had that dad. I used to watch Sister Sister, and for a bit, I could not watch the show because the dad on there reminded me of my dad. Like he looked like my dad, but obviously, for a couple of reasons, he wasn't my dad. And I would sit there, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not lovable? Why am I not lovable enough for my dad to want to figure it out, want to work it out? He has, like, contacted me, like, it's been years. He's contacted me a couple times in the and the things he's contacted me about are politics, right? So one time he contacted me when Hillary was first running, and he told me not to vote for Hillary because immigrants will be taking our jobs, and she is a proponent of gay marriage. Eek. I was at work at the time, so it didn't feel the need to burst his bubble in that moment. But then he texted me again, maybe 2 years later, and was like, "The Green New Deal is going to harm our country." So yes, my dad is also MAGA. He wears a red hat. So even if he were to reach out, we would have to have a serious, serious conversation that would probably result in him blocking me. So it's just so funny to me. Right now, I can laugh, I can share this story, and it has shaped every ounce of how I view myself, how I have approached relationships. It has taken years of therapy, years of work, of healing, of fucking up and getting it absolutely wrong to be in a place where my relationships feel good, where I can initiate relationships, where I feel secure enough in myself and secure enough in my relationships with others that that is not something that really impacts me in the same ways. I certainly still have that hypercritical voice in my head. The perfectionism, the need to prove to for someone to be proud. I think that as I get older though, that does start to deteriorate a little bit. But I really wish Estrangement had a better conversation around it. I feel hurt for people who see media like that, who might be navigating what it's like to figure it out with their family, who are in good family situations, and the media is constantly pushing them to figure it out and work it out with their family without any concept that there is love and light and kindness on the other side of estrangement, that there is healthier relationships, there's a healthier relationship to yourself on the other side of estrangement. And I don't know a single therapist whose first line of defense is cut them off. I'm sure they exist. I don't know them. Again, it is much more common for people to want to keep their relationship with their family intact, to figure it out, to heal it, to mend it, to agonize over what it means to be in that relationship than to actually remove them from their lives. That's just the gist of it all, you know? I also think because of the society that we live in, where so much can be heavily influenced, this conversation deserves to continue to be had. And it deserves to continue to have its nuance. It deserves to continue to have its place. Again, this is still a taboo conversation. Like, this is still, it has taken years, clearly, for me to openly talk about this and to feel comfortable in sharing it. And even part of the reason people still ask me questions about, like, talking to my dad and stuff is because I didn't talk about what it was like to be navigating that and figuring that out. I didn't share what it was like to be living in proximity to him or living with him, right? So they don't get it. They don't fully grasp why I made that choice. And frankly, I don't care for them to, because it's not their choice. It's not their opinion on the choice hasn't swayed me much of a difference on talking to him or not. That's just the truth of the situation, right? They can ask, and now I just lie because they don't get it, and I don't need them to get it. I get it. I understand what I felt like at 13 and 14 and 15, and a kid who feels like they can't get it right, who feels like everything they do is wrong, who feels like they could do everything. They could get the grades, they could join the clubs, they could be on the teams, they could be team captain, they can literally do everything and still get it absolutely wrong. It's okay that they don't get it. I get it. And that was always enough for me. Even when I sat in with guilt and frustration, all that mattered was I got it. And as I'm retelling some of this story, I have often thought of myself as somebody who struggles to trust themselves, to make a choice that is beneficial to me regardless of external pressure, right? But in that moment, I really had to trust that that was going to be a good choice. I had to trust myself, even when I didn't know what that meant, even if I never heard the term before. I hadn't. Again, I was not in therapy. I was raw dogging life. Poor thing. Woo! Poor baby. But I was really just free will, right? So I guess maybe I am better at self-trust than I thought. And if you're listening to this and you are sitting and struggling with a family dynamic that doesn't feel good for you, and you've exhausted the options, and you recognize that this feels really hard, maybe it's time to trust yourself. Because what I've also recognized in making that choice and it's taken a lot of time. There's a few other family members that I've had to axe out of this equation since then. But I was actually reflecting in therapy last week that I am able to trust people better, that I feel much more secure in my relationships. And part of it is the relationships that I'm choosing, but also part of it is the relationships that I'm able to recognize and see their effort. And just because they don't show up in the ways that I may show up, it doesn't mean they don't love me or aren't there or aren't people who want to be in relationship with me. I've been able to better accept help, better accept support. I also am much more present and am able to hold so many different kind of relationships in my life, right? There are so many net positives now. So many positives that have come with years of work, years of feeling all the terrible, uncomfortable, gross feelings of making choices that again, in an ideal world, maybe I wouldn't have had to make. But I prioritized my want and desire to have good relationships, my want to improve my quality of life. And when I think back to those situations, I would do it again. 100%. I sat with maybe regret at one point. I need to grow, heal, and really process it, but I'd make the same choice. So I think that is what I have for you all today. Is a reminder in self-trust. It's a reminder in, again, if you're sitting with this idea that estrangement is a option or it's something that you feel like you need to do, I'm with you and I get it 100%. I understand it. And if you're someone that's maybe in the throes of estrangement, it sucks, it hurts, and I hope that there is a life for you on the other side of what you're sitting with right now. But I don't give a fuck what the Wall Street Journal says. I don't give a fuck what the internet says, honestly, because you don't fully get it unless you've been there, unless you can really sit and look back and say, yeah, I've been there. I think we've gotten so pressed for clicks that we've just forgotten context and nuance. But that's my show for this week. I would love to hear your thoughts. Comments always welcome. Ratings are always welcome. You can find me on Instagram, all the major social media platforms at Jazzmyn Proctor. And I'll see you next week.